So Jody, maybe you'll ask the security question I was going to ask. Identify yourself, please.
I don't know. Jody Westby, Global Cyber Risk. Part of the problem with opt-in is companies, especially U.S. companies, are getting the data, and once they think okay, someone opted in, then they think they can use it any way they want and transfer it to other people. And so that's the big problem. I chair the American Bar Association's Privacy and Computer Crime Committee, and almost every multinational company that I work with, their policies are just a mess, and they don't really understand cross-border data flows and what to do. So the EU took the stage with privacy, and they're in the process of reevaluating and amending their EU data protection directive. And I think that what they have done globally is spreading to the US. And what you see with Apple, I think, when they took the market cap over Microsoft, was a very strong message from the individual user community saying, security matters to us. A good product matters to us. And if they're saying security matters to them, that means privacy matters to them. And so I think that...
But why does Google's market cap say that? I don't get it.
Pardon?
Why does Google's market cap shift make that statement?
No, she said Apple.
Oh,
I
Apple,
said
sorry.
Apple and
Apple's,
Microsoft.
right, yeah, but why does it make that, why does that, I meant Apple, but why does it make that statement?
Why do I make that
No,
statement?
why does Apple being more valuable make the statement that people care so much about security?
I think your point of view is their
because
system's more secure, right?
They see, yeah, I mean, you don't even have to have virus software on your Apple.
Right.
And, okay, I see what you're saying. I'm not sure I agree. Okay, fine.
And so you don't have all of these stupid issues that you do with the Windows operating system. So I think with the convergence of companies using this data, spreading it around, and entities like the Wall Street Journal making these kinds of points is going to even ratchet that up in everybody's awareness even further. The EU is going to come on even stronger, and the consumer is speaking, and they're speaking loudly. And so I think all of those are going to be a very interesting dynamic.
So I'm going to avoid some of those minefields you just laid out, but I think this is going to be a balance between policy and technology. And one of the things that's been really important for the internet to become pervasive has been standards. So we really need to establish a set of standards around privacy. I mean, security is a whole different issue. And a set of policies which are standard, or as standard as we can, worldwide, so that we can actually interoperate.
Well, since HP now is the world's largest computer company, can you guys lead that charge? I mean, that's a global effort, and it involves a tremendous amount of communication with governments, et cetera. I mean, what are you guys concretely going to do to try to help make that happen?
We're going to be very active, and we invest heavily and participate in the standards bodies, but I think this is an industry issue. Obviously, the big players have to be active. HP's active, Microsoft active, Google's active, Apple's, I don't know, but it's a really important issue if we're going to be able to expand the way we should be able to. Okay,
before we move on, I want to go to Stephen, but since Apple was mentioned, you guys just bought Palm. I mentioned something about my own, being impressed with Android on stage earlier, which makes the Palm thing seem more challenging to me. What's the plan here? Why did you buy Palm real fast? And how does it fit into what we're talking about here?
Well, look, in my mind, there's two really important pieces of this puzzle. And I'll use a word that I don't usually use, but one is cloud. How do you, in some way serve up all these services? And the other is a dynamic set of endpoints, which give you a consistent user experience as you access those services. And it's all based on interconnectivity with the web and a philosophy around always on. So what Palm gives us is a modern, web-oriented, connected operating system, and the ability to integrate the user interface from the user interface itself, the user experience from the user interface itself, all the way through to the hardware platform. So what you'll see us do is that web OS will be a driver for everything from smartphones and handhelds to slates, we've talked about that, to web-connected printers. Most of our new printers are going to be web-connected. You'll be able to print directly from the web without other devices involved. And all of that will be served well with the web OS operating.
But to be clear then, really it's a very head-to-head Apple strategy in the sense that you want to integrate the software and the hardware just the way they do, which Google doesn't even want to do. In other words, no matter how successful Android may be, you can possibly do something much cooler.
We hope so.
That's what
That's our plan.
Yeah, that's the plan.
And there's a pretty good case in point in the market that a very well-integrated, seamless user experience is what people are looking for.
Yeah, I'm glad we heard you say that. Okay, Stephen.
So Stephen Sprague, Wave Systems. Just a simple comment on the privacy and security side. We have great technologies that are showing up in the PC platform, which range from trusted computing to trusted execution, et cetera, which are tools that help to build this. But we also, I agree, from the policy side, need to clearly articulate that accountability of the use of information is probably one of the key drivers to assure privacy. So I want a multitude of identities, but it's also very important to say if this information's been collected for this use, that it's properly monitored and audited, because what we really have already in place are good laws that enforce that if I'm looking at somebody's passport files just because they're celebrities, I shouldn't be doing that, and I should either be reprimanded or fired or whatever the process is, depending on the use of that data.
That did happen, right? Yeah.
That it's a perfect example of where it did actually happen, and so privacy was reasserted by the policy in the government and the oversight of that. And we need more of that within the individual corporations' use of data. Almost everybody's policy says, supply me your data and I can use it for whatever I want to. And that's a huge challenge.
So I agree, and this is, so if you step back, here's a point of view. Information is the most important natural resource of the 21st century. It's not oil, it's not water, it's information. And policies and mechanisms for appropriate use of information will be critical if we're going to be able to exploit that natural resource. The people who have the information technology to make the best use of the information that they collect and that they have available are going to lead. There's just no question about it. You're going to be able to use information to address very serious social problems like education and healthcare and energy. And most of what we've been talking about here are a set of policies or technologies that address how do we manage that natural resource appropriately.
Shane, one of the things that Eric mentioned briefly on stage yesterday that I happen to know he, I'm sorry, this is a John Doerr point, sorry, I get these guys confused. Doerr believes very strongly, he mentioned it on stage last night, that there's a whole new universe of social applications that are potentially about to emerge, sort of in the way that Zynga has emerged as a gaming social app, but that really that opportunity exists in literally every industry. How do you think about that point of view?
So I think this is one of the fundamental changes that we've seen in the last few years. I've been doing this a long time, and in the last few years there's been an underlying change in the way people use technology. Until recently, technology was primarily a productivity enhancer. It was either to help you improve the performance of your business or your personal life. Today, technology is much more primarily used for communications and collaboration. There's 380 million people online in China. It's just a whole different experience. And it goes back to video and audio and other forms, but everything from the applications and the software to the user interface to the operating system like WebOS is much more about connectivity, communications, collaboration, and enhancing that experience.
So you kind of agree.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because the social piece you didn't exactly just mention there, but obviously this idea that people are connected and that gives you opportunity to make new stuff that takes advantage of the connectivity. I mean, I wrote a lot about that in my book, but I mean, that's beyond just the sheer existence of the data. That's a different sort of data, right?
It's a different sort of data, and it's a different use model, and it gives you the opportunity to do a whole range of new software and applications to give people these experiences.
Yeah. Is HP going to provide some of those apps?
Absolutely. We have, one of the things I didn't talk about with the Palm acquisition is we've got an app store. We'll have a whole application developer community developing applications for that platform. And we'll host them in the cloud, and we'll have our own set of applications to go with it.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. I'd love to know how you think you're going to get enough of those, but that's a great, I wish you luck.
Thank you.
And any last questions, comments from the audience? Because actually we're being told very aggressively we're over time up here. Well, I just want to thank you again for being here, Shane, for being such a supportive sponsor. HP's success in recent years has been very impressive. So thank you for being here, and thanks for helping us out.
Thanks.